Hey guys, buckle up for the craziest Black Myth Wukong Chapter 3 breakdown you'll ever hear. What seems like Yellow Brow's twisted human experiment actually hides layers of Buddhist philosophy. I spent hours freeze-framing every scene and cross-checking sutras with his portraits. Trust me, this interpretation will blow 99% of theories out there. It all begins with a giant tuo descending from the heavens. Look closely. Along the walls of the road, you'll spot countless Buddha statues, clear evidence that this place is steeped in Buddhist faith. When the tuo is being paraded, you can see enforcers at both the front and back, indicating that this capture was an official act. A massive pile of firewood is arranged beneath the tuo, and the officials, torches in hand, are clearly preparing to burn it as a sacrifice to Guanyin. In the coastal Buddhist traditions, there's even a legend of Guanyin stepping on a tuo to search for the sea. For the locals, a tuo this enormous is no ordinary creature. It's likely a tuo nurtured by Guanyin. Initially, they find him floating lifelessly at sea, assuming he's done for, and plan to burn him as an offering to Guanyin. But just as the tuo realizes he's about to be sacrificed, he promptly offers up a pearl. This sequence reveals a lot about the fishing village's ecosystem. Every villager is poor, gaunt, with sallow faces and tattered clothes, but out of deep reverence for the tuo, not one of them rushes to snatch the pearls. Instead, their respect only grows, and every pair of eyes is fixed on him with eager anticipation. Seizing the moment, he naturally forms a Buddhist mudra, and even uses his own remnants to cure the children, spitting saliva that miraculously erases the scars and blemishes on the women's faces. Slow it down, and you can see that satisfied, triumphant smile spreading across his face. It seems that when the villagers are happy, it somehow makes him happier too. Sure enough, soon the villagers begin venerating him as if he were a bodhisattva. Simply by worshipping the tuo, he works miracles, building houses and conjuring seafood for them. The villagers even erect countless tuo Buddha statues in his honor, and for a while, the fishing village and the tuo coexist in relative harmony. But word of the miraculous tuo spreads quickly. The powerful elites and high monks soon move in to monopolize him. You start noticing people, transported in ornate sedan chairs, arriving in the fishing village. Clearly, these aren't the humble locals. The tuo's dwelling, once a modest shrine, transforms into a grandiose temple, a structure the villagers could never afford to build on their own. It's obvious that outsiders, the wealthy and high monks, footed the bill. And the grander the temple, the steeper the entry fee, ensuring that these elites effectively monopolize the tuo. Inside, the monks are immaculately dressed. Nothing like the ragged figures you'd expect from a poor fishing village. On the left, there's even a villager missing an arm, likely desperate to seek the tuo's help for a replacement, only to be blocked by the monks. On the right, a richly attired person is directly ushered into the temple. Slow it down, and you'll notice that every offering consists solely of gold, silver, and jewels, treasures the tuo doesn't even need. No doubt, those riches will eventually be divvied up among the temple's monks and stakeholders. From the earlier animation, it appeared that the villagers merely needed to worship the tuo, and he would work his miracles to build houses and summon seafood. In that sense, the tuo was a resource that allowed the entire fishing village to live in abundance. But by monopolizing the tuo, the temple stakeholders ensured he couldn't freely aid the villagers, thus hiking up the resource's value. So when wealthy outsiders come to pay homage to the tuo, they get ripped off. Then, on a full moon night, the tuo is paraded out on display. Offerings and a bonfire set the stage for some kind of festival. In Buddhist tradition, there's a festival on a full moon night, the Ulambana Assembly, also known as the Ulambana Festival, a day when gods and Buddhas gather for a grand assembly. In Journey to the West, it was during this very assembly that the Buddha launched the quest for scriptures. In Black Myth, however, Jin Chanzi and Yellow Brow engage in a deep debate about the meaning of life during the Ulambana Assembly. Naturally, the tuo has to do something divine on this day. After ingesting the offerings, he slashes open his body to bestow pearls upon the fishing village. Some of these pearls were pre-packaged, clearly reserved for the temple's stakeholders. Notice the person distributing the pearls. His heterochromatic eyes and skewed gaze hint at a biased allocation. The offerings should belong to the villagers, yet they end up with nothing more than the leftovers after the stakeholders take their cut. Among the villagers, everyone is chattering and peeking around, except for one inconspicuous fellow who stands completely still, probably because he doesn't qualify for any pearls. Unlike the others, whose eyes are aflame with desire, his fixed gaze reveals just how deeply he craves them. At first, the Tuo finds the whole ritual rather dull, his attention fixed on the sky as he devours his food, ignoring the villagers. But once he detects that one villager's desire, his eyes suddenly flare with focus, and a mysterious smile plays on his lips. Notice his collar. The Tuo subtly employs his mystical powers to nudge that villager forward. Then he activates his eye technique, amplifying the man's lust for treasures. If you lower the background music and boost the voices, you can just catch the Tuo whispering, "Come here," into his ear. Then, contorting his body, he strikes a pose as if ready to unleash a storm. Watch that claw. It's the Tuo who swats the villager away, not the enforcers. He lured the villager over, not to bestow riches upon him, but to use him as a catalyst for chaos. The ensuing screams and the villagers being blasted around are all meant to amplify the disorder. The more chaotic the situation, the easier it is for these zero-cost acquisitions to occur, fueling even greater greed. Ultimately, his arrival is aimed at igniting mankind's desires. More details on that later. At this point, although the enforcers try to maintain order, the other villagers join in the treasure hunt. Slow it down, and you'll notice their expressions and eyes are filled with crazed longing. They too have been affected by the Tuo's magnification of desire. In order to stop the enforcers from interfering, the Tuo deliberately drops his head, feigning death. If you flip the scene, you'll notice an oddly joyful, eerie expression on his face. With the Tuo dead and the enforcers neglecting their duties, even they join the treasure hunt, scheming to scoop up a final windfall. A swarm of ants feasting on dung-eating little snakes subtly symbolizes the villagers' frenzied raid on the Tuo. At one point, a horse is mercilessly slaughtered and divided among many, echoing the Tuo's own fate. Meanwhile, the monks, drenched in sweat as they ceaselessly chant sutras, let you imagine the sheer pressure they face in resisting greed. And behind it all, club dancing beauties add to the wild scene. Eventually, even the monks can't resist. One of them, who was chanting just moments ago, is now busy collecting pearls. Before long, everyone present is swept up in the treasure hunt. Then come a series of rapid, exhilarating scenes that you really need to slow down to catch. At this point, the Tuo's body has been completely gutted, leaving nothing but entrails and a skeleton. The villagers reap abundant rewards and break into a wild celebration. The elders, barely clothed, engage in carnal exploits, clearly still dazed and controlled by their desires. On the ground, there's a large eyeball. To the left, a corpse with a steel trident impaled in its neck, evidence of a violent killing during the treasure raid. In the middle stands a man who, by his attire, seems to be an enforcer, clutching a knife in his right hand. With his desire amplified, he's shifted into a murderous mode. At his feet lies a headless body, making his guilt unmistakable. Nearby, a figure dubbed the God of Slaughter looms, even as the villagers nonchalantly grill food as if nothing's amiss. What is that green liquid on the enforcer? Surely it can't be mung bean soup. The first person to feast on the crab is still alive, albeit badly injured, likely downing some medicine. The pearl distributor clutches a large pearl, with a bag brimming with a bountiful harvest beside him. After an indeterminate time, the fishing village becomes deserted, overgrown with weeds and in a state of decay. A plausible theory is that the villagers themselves sabotaged their own home, staging it to look like a pirate raid in order to shift the blame for the Tuo's demise onto pirates.
Once again, I proved it to you, Jinshanzi.
That line unveils the true identity of the Tuo. In Black Myth, the only person Jin Chanzi ever referred to as his senior fellow disciple is none other than Yellowbrow. According to the portraits at the Ulambana assembly, Yellowbrow and Jin Chanzi engaged in a deep debate about the meaning of life. Jin Chanzi held that life's purpose lies in the pursuit of truth, while Yellowbrow argued that it is the desires of all beings that propel the 3,000 realms into flourishing. Thus, the pursuit of one's own desires is the true essence of life. In the game, when Yellowbrow captures us and stuffs us into a sack, he taunts Buddhist precepts, claiming that only by chasing our own desires can we achieve ultimate bliss. This time, by morphing into the giant Tuo and orchestrating all these events, he set out to prove the superiority of his theory. At first, the fishing village's inhabitants strictly observed the precepts. Despite their poverty, when they witnessed the Tuo conjuring pearls, no one rushed to grab them. The Tuo, blessed with miraculous powers, only offered them healing, shelter, and food. Never gold or jewels. Yet because they obeyed the rules and refrained from squabbling, the elites and high monks ended up monopolizing his resources. Later, under the sway of desire, the villagers did achieve a state of ultimate bliss, and so Yellowbrow declares that he has once again triumphed over Jin Chanzi. But such reckless indulgence ultimately leads to a decaying village, a barren wasteland. As for humanity, the side effects far outweigh any supposed benefits. Don't forget, this is all a fabrication, spun entirely by Yellowbrow. The villagers' actions were also spurred by the amplification of their desires by him. And so Jin Chanzi warns, it disturbs the human heart, inverting cause and effect. Yet Yellowbrow remains utterly indifferent. He likely knows deep down that the philosophy of entertainment above all is no boon for the world. This time, it was all just a contest of winning and losing. If you can't win, why bother arguing about fate and the human heart? One might even imagine that Yellowbrow feeds on others' emotions just to fuel his own pleasure. Aren't there people like that in real life? Alright, thanks for watching everyone. See you next time.